In the vast history of football, there are players, there are legends, and then there is Der Kaiser. Franz Beckenbauer was not merely a defender, he was an aristocrat in boots, a figure who didn't just play the game, but rewrote its very laws. It all began with a slap, a fateful moment of violence in 1958 that turned a working-class boy from Giesing away from his dream club, 1860 Munich, and toward FC Bayern, forever altering the destiny of European football. He took the rough, destructive role of the sweeper and transformed it into the libero, a position of sophisticated creativity. He floated across the pitch, dictating play with an elegance that hid a spine of pure steel. We remember the silk, but we must never forget the grit, the iconic image of him in the 1970 game of the century, playing 120 minutes with a dislocated shoulder strapped to his chest, refusing to abandon his team. Legends spoke of him with reverence. Johann Cruyff once suggested that Beckenbauer was the only defender who truly understood football like a midfielder. Gerd Müller said playing behind him felt like having a general directing every move. Opponents didn't just fear his tackles, they feared his mind. His greatness transcended roles. He conquered the world as captain in 1974 and again as manager in 1990, a feat achieved by only two others. His life stretched beyond the pitch, from the glamour of the New York Cosmos to delivering Germany the 2006 summer fairy tale. Yet even shadows touched his legacy. Still, history is clear. Franz Beckenbauer didn't follow football's rules. He wrote them.
Franz Beckenbauer, who won the World Cup as a player in 1974 and as a manager in 1990. The things that, in terms of stats that make him special, he's one of 9 players who've won the World Cup and the European Cup and the Ballon d'Or. So only 9 have won all 3. He's one of those. And when they named the World Team of the Century in 1998, he was in it. Of course he was. They did a World Cup Dream Team in 2002. He was in that. He was in the Ballon d'Or Dream Team.
Oh, he's no question, easily the best centre-back / sweeper that ever played football. No question. You know, he's up there with Maradona's and Pele's. I mean, again, typically somebody in that position, all the best ones, we've talked about other players that played in that position, you never saw them with an inch of mud or sweat on them because everything was so easy for them. They just he read the game, he intercepted passes, he didn't have to get involved with centre forwards and try and elbow them in the face. He just outthought them and outplayed them. I mean, Derek's talking about elegance. I mean, this guy's head was always up, his shoulders were always back. He just looked the part. I mean, just an incredible player. And I think it's funny, you know, people that today that don't know Beckenbauer, we talk about Man City with the centre backs going into the middle of the park or the full backs going. He was doing this 50 years ago. 50 years ago he started doing this. Just tells you how far ahead of his time he was.
Have you seen, there's a little clip going around today, there's many clips going around today about Franz Beckenbauer, but there was a little clip and it was involving the late Sir Bobby Charlton, who passed away recently, and he was handing out some award to Franz Beckenbauer, and he gave a little speech before it, and he said, before the World Cup final in '66, and Bobby Charlton was one of the best midfielders ever, Sir Alf Ramsey said to him, listen, I need you to change your game today. He said, there's only one thing can stop us winning the World Cup, and that's Franz Beckenbauer, and I want you to man-mark him. And Bobby Charlton's going, this is the greatest game of my life. You want me to you need to man-mark Franz Beckenbauer.
Yeah.
That's how important
that was the threat
he is. But it's quite strange in a way. I never saw him play, obviously. But whenever I was doing commentaries back in England in the day, or the UK, back in the day, I've heard other people using it, and for some reason, and I think I still use it to this day, so whenever we see some big daft defender trying to dribble out the ball with the back and giving it away, the amount of times I've used the line, who the hell does he think he is? Franz Beckenbauer? Yeah. It's like, even though this was a completely different era than before I was even born, doing commentaries, it just seemed the go-to. Who the hell does he think he is? Beckenbauer? And years later, we're still probably saying that. I think that sort of tells a story about how he transcended generations with his performances.
I would say he most likely would be on the Mount Rushmore of football, period. When I was growing up, it was Pelé and Maradona, Cruyff, but I would always hear Beckenbauer being mentioned in terms of what a brilliant footballer he was. He could do it all. It started from the back defending all the way to scoring goals. Hopefully people can look back on his career and you know, obviously figure out what he was able to do so well and try and, you know, continue to talk about these legends because he's the absolute legend of the game.
Franz Beckenbauer was a titan of the game. He blazed the path for what football is today, and he did it with grace, with class, with elegance, on and off the field, winning that World Cup with West Germany and then winning it again as a manager. And then what he did for the game in the United States, putting it on the map alongside Pelé with the New York Cosmos.
He revolutionized football. In many respects, he was the ultimate elegant revolutionary. Elegant because of his style of play, revolutionary because he invented a position. Prior to Beckenbauer, we didn't really have a sweeper in that mold, somebody who would play as a free man and then make those journeys forward and score spectacular goals from time to time. He put his own stamp on that position, and I don't really think we're going to see his like again. That's how revolutionary he was.
As a player, he was a phenomenon because he invented pretty much the role of the sweeper who could then come out and, as centre-backs do all the time now, but they didn't then, come out and play and could spray a ball short or long, and had a great eye for a pass. So in a sense, he invented that position. It's hard to imagine now what a rarity that was, but without sounding too cliched, it was in the days when centre-backs were mostly expected to be big, rough blokes, and it mostly was blokes in those days. Headed it and kicked it, and they were rough and tough, and no one worried if it went in Rose Ed. Well, Franz Beckenbauer thought we can do better than that.
From the ruins of Munich to the summit of the World Cup, Franz Beckenbauer didn't just play football, he elevated it to an art form. Whether fighting through pain with a dislocated shoulder or masterminding victory as a manager, his legacy as Der Kaiser remains untouched by time. While shadows touched his later years, the brilliance of his game shines forever. If you enjoyed this history of football's true emperor, like and subscribe for more. Thanks for watching.